Hello comrades, Commissar Bro here today with some Dawn of War 3 speculation. That's right. So far today we've not only got an amazing announcement trailer showing us that the game is real and that we are going to be getting to play some Dawn of War here very soon, but we've also got a nice little article from PC Gamer, which I will link in the description and probably feature parts of in this actual video, to show you guys specifically what I'm talking about. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the information provided in this article in regards to Dawn of War 3, the stuff we like, the stuff we don't like, and stuff we hope to see. So, it should be a lot of fun. We'll start out with the very first thing mentioned in the article, which is that you can play as 3 races in the campaign. Now this is something I believe we can speculate on a lot. I mean a lot. Alright, so it's cool that you get to actually play as multiple races in the campaign, so we can imagine it's probably going to be like the original Dawn of War. How it was where you would play as Gabriel Angelos, and you would swap off with the Eldar and so on and so forth. So that's kind of what we're imagining there. Or even, I guess, Winter Assault would probably be a much better comparison, where you could actually play as all the different factions there. But what concerns me is if they're saying 3 races in the campaign, who's going to be available at launch? Let's be honest. This has been a franchise that's always been kind of big on, DLC, expansion packs, and so on and so forth. It's Warhammer. It happens a lot. So that's one thing I'm kind of iffy on. But I do hope to see at least the staples coming with the base game. So, in this case, the Space Marine, Chaos, Orcs, and Eldar, at the very least, should be part of the base package. Now, I imagine Chaos is probably going to be the primary driver behind what's going on in the story. There's also a lot of speculation that this crater that is shown in the trailer is actually like the throne of Khorne or something, and those are the souls fighting and they're reliving their last moments, so on and so forth. It's a very interesting theory. I don't know if I subscribe to it, but it's an interesting theory nonetheless. So, I think it's safe to assume that Chaos will be in the game. What concerns me is if they end up being like a pre-order bonus. We very clearly saw what Sega did with Total War Warhammer in making the Chaos Warriors a pre-order bonus. So there's a very, very strong chance that Chaos, if they're going to be in Dawn of War 3, are going to be a Dawn of War 3 pre-order exclusive. Again, this is something I'm concerned about. I really hope this does not happen. I hope that Chaos is included with the game as part of the skirmish mode, or the multiplayer mode in this case, even if you don't get to play them in the single-player campaign. So hopefully they'll be adding in my personal favorite, the Necrons. I hope the Necrons get added in, and we see the Tyranids as well. Now, I don't know if they're going to go so far like they did in the first Dawn of War, where they added in the Dark Eldar and the Sisters of Battle and the Tau. I can see the Tau coming back, because the Tau tended to be kind of popular with the Dark Crusade release, but they were never in Dawn of War 2, so it'll be interesting to see what races do end up showing up in the game. Again, my money, undoubtedly, is going to be on the Space Marines, Chaos Space Marines, the Eldar, and the Orcs, and maybe one other faction, but I doubt it. I somehow feel like there'll be 4, and that 4th one will be like a pre-order bonus. But again, let's hope not. So, on to our next point. The big armies are back. That's right. Looking at the screenshots, and I'll show them here in this video, we can see that there is undoubtedly some decent-sized fighting going on here between just, it looks like to be a 1v1. Now, these aren't massive unit sizes, but they're much closer to the original Dawn of War than Dawn of War 2. Now, this is something that some people are a little controversial on, to a degree. A lot of people were clamoring for bigger battles. I personally was not a huge fan of how Dawn of War 2 scaled it down so much. I felt like a much more comfortable area of army size was Company of Heroes 1 or 2. It was still pretty decent sized. It wasn't small, and you didn't have an obscene amount of vehicles, but it felt pretty meaty. It's good to see here, though, that clearly the unit sizes are going back to the sizes that they were in the original Dawn of War. That is something I'm super excited about, to relive those battles. However, I have a couple of questions and some stuff that I'm concerned about. If we look at the screenshots, if we zoom in, we can see some really cool stuff. First of all, you see body parts and stuff like that, just laying blood all over the place, and just a couple bodies laying there and so on. That's pretty cool. I like that little attention to detail. But what concerns me is the detail on the models isn't that great. It's not bad, mind you. It's not bad, but it looks a little iffy. Now, again, this could just be because of the early status of the game. We don't even know if this game is like pre-alpha or what. We don't know any details in regards to that, or if we'll be seeing it in a few months. So my assumption here is the game is still very much in development. The Wraith, or not the Wraith, but the actual Imperial Knights look fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Their inclusion in the game is going to be awesome. Seeing these big walkers and whatnot is really cool, and I'm really excited to see all the walkers that you have for each faction. I somehow feel like it won't be getting up into Titan unit sizes, like the Imperial Reaver or anything like that. Pretty sure we won't get to those kinds of sizes, but it is cool to see this improvement, almost like these more epic sized units. It kind of makes me think a little bit of like Supreme Commander, how Supreme Commander had some big sized units as you got later on in the game. And honestly, just looking at the second screenshot that's been provided, I can't help but actually see kind of a Supreme Commander feel to this game. That may be a good thing, that may be a bad thing. Again, I'm looking kind of forward to that, and I think that'll be pretty cool. They were also saying that super units in this game act as elite units that have special abilities. So you're still seeing like some, quote, tactical micromanagement like you would see in Dawn of War 2. But again, Dawn of War 1 had tactical micromanagement, but squad to squad as well. It was just much smaller scale in the second game, so I don't really see how that's comparable. But it is really cool to see that like all the weapons you see on the Knight you can use, like the back-mounted rocket launcher, the Gatling cannons, and so on. That's pretty cool, and it'll be really interesting to see how they work. Another feature that's going to be in the new game is a giant orbital laser cannon being fired from a Dauntless light cruiser. They call it a battle cruiser, but it's clearly a light cruiser. So that's pretty cool, I guess. I mean, they had special abilities like that in the other Dawn of Wars as well. Nothing super special, nothing super exciting, I guess. It'll be cool. It says the more enemies it kills, the fatter, slower, and deadlier it becomes. That's an interesting concept, to say the least. So, I mean, how does it work? Are there timers on it? Does it use up a power resource? Will it be like Dawn of War 2, where you have kind of like battle points that you generate the more you play and the more units you kill and so on? It'll be interesting to see how that works. Again, there's not much details on it. I think probably one of the most important things that should be mentioned that a lot of people are concerned about is the return of bases. This literally is a discussion between two camps. You have the one side who loved the base building aspect of Dawn of War 1. You have the other side who enjoyed the more Warhammer 40k feel of Dawn of War 2, where you were getting rid of the base building mechanic altogether, and all you had was one singular base, and maybe you could call in a machine gun turret or something here or there. Personally, I'm more on the Dawn of War 1 freight train, because that is probably one of my favorite games of all time. I think it is so well done, and I personally enjoyed the base building mechanic in Dawn of War 1. It wasn't complicated like games like Age of Empires in terms of how you would build up, or Cossacks. Cossacks would be a much better example of a base building RTS that was a little complicated in how all the buildings work together and how you have to build them to get teched up and stuff. Dawn of War was pretty simple until you got to the Dark Eldar, who pretty much had a little bit more complicated aspect, I would suppose. But in my opinion, I think base building isn't going to be a bad thing. I think it's one of the things that made Dawn of War 1 fun. Even the Ultimate Apocalypse mod for Dawn of War 1, one of the things that they've done is added more buildings, like walls and more turrets, different types of turrets, to make it more interesting to go along with those other units to add in. If anything, I would think that Relic should be taking some hints and ideas from the Ultimate Apocalypse team and how they should go about it, which honestly, it looks like they have, just the inclusion of super units and epic-sized units. So, I mean, you got that going on. Now, again, I do understand completely those who do not like bases. I get it. Especially from the aspect of you want the game to be more Warhammer 40k-like. Absolutely. Bases are not a Warhammer 40k thing at all. They are a concession added in to make a game more RTS-oriented. Which, again, is a worthy concession if there ever was one, in my opinion. But yes, again, I can see why. And I can see both camps. There's some people who feel they would like a game more like War Game 40k, you know, like the War Game Red Dragon games. Something like that, where you just call in units, and so on. Again, that would be a cool game too. So, honestly, I feel like with the base building mechanic, I'm not going to be sad either which way, even if for some reason they decide to just take it out at the last second. I think I would still be okay with the base building not being in the game, because to me, it's mostly about the combat, it's mostly about the fighting, and getting to play as my favorite armies in an RTS format. That's what I'm mostly concerned about. The last thing that actually concerns me the most is the cover system in the game. Now, Relic has always been known to do really good cover systems. However, in Dawn of War 3, apparently because there's a stronger focus on counterplay, the cover consists of circular barricade structures that units can capture. Units in cover are resistant to range fire, but can be quickly eliminated by close combat squads. This concerns me. That sentence altogether concerns me. Because this game is sounding very, very rock, paper, scissory by the explanation that, like, you know, just from some of the stuff I've read, and especially without the inclusion of a dynamic cover system like you would see in Company of Heroes 1 or 2, or even Dawn of War 2. Now, Dawn of War 1 had a cover system, but it really wasn't prominent. Like, you had stuff that provided cover, like, which would be giant craters, and then you had stuff that took away cover, like rivers. If you were running through river, you actually had a negative bonus. You could get hit easier. And then you had normal terrain that had no cover at all, which makes sense. So I imagine that that's what they're going to go for. But if they're just having like capture points that provide cover, that's concerning. And that sounds like a little bit like how Empire at War did it, which is, I'm iffy on that. I'm iffy on that. Personally, I really, really, really liked the cover system in the Company of Heroes games. I loved the cover system in Dawn of War 2, and I even liked the cover system in Dawn of War 1. So having a simplified cover system, I feel, would take away from the game to a degree. Especially the tabletop, cover can be pretty important. So, I don't know. Again, that's probably the one thing I'm truly iffy on of all the other stuff that I've seen. The trailer kind of concerned me with how skinny the Space Marines were, but, you know, after looking at the screenshots, I can see that the Space Marines really aren't skinny. It was just an artistic style chosen for the trailer, which makes me happy because I totally didn't want, like, little rail-thin Space Marines fighting my battles. But again, it'll be interesting to see as more information comes out, and we'll keep our eye out and looking around, and hopefully we'll hear some very meaty, juicy information soon. Maybe a gameplay trailer or something like that. That would be great. I would really love to see that. But anyway, this has been Commissar Bro, just doing a little bit of speculation on Dawn of War 3. If you've liked this, feel free to like, subscribe, do all that crap. But most importantly, keep your eye out for more Dawn of War 3 information so that we can get to talking about this, because that is what I'm concerned about. I want to talk more about Dawn of War 3. But anyway, this has been CB, and I'll see you next time.